Let's now go through the step-by-step process of how to complete your keyword research inside of Google Ads using the keyword planner. Now, what we're looking at here is this is the end result of what we want to have, where we've got our keywords broken into different campaigns, different ad groups, and different keywords. Now, the place that we start with, I recommend with all of your keyword research that you want to start with about 3 or 4 different keywords that you know that you want to add as your initial theme. So when you've got that, and you can just write that down in Google Notes or in a doc, just 3 or 4 different keyword ideas that you can use to enter into the keyword planner. So when you're inside of Google Ads, and I'm inside of a Google Ads training profile in here, where you need to go to is you need to go into your tools, into planning, and then your keyword planner. So just as a reminder, you go into tools, planning, keyword planner, and then you want to choose discover new keywords. And then this is where you add in those initial keywords. So what I'll do, obviously I've already got the end result here, but I'll just go through and just add in a couple of different keywords that we initially started with, and we're going to add these in here. Now you can add up to 10 different keywords. And the other thing that I would recommend that is if you also start with adding your website. And for this example, this is the website that we're going to be creating a Google Ads campaign for. So we add that in through there. So you've got your initial keywords and your website in through here. Then you go through and click on get results. And what this does is, let me just explain some different elements of what we're seeing in the screen through here. Is that initially with the keywords is what you'll see is you'll see the keywords that you provided. So these are the keywords that you gave Google. Then it gives you some different keyword ideas. And these are based off similar keywords to what you're looking at through what you provided. And if you go down to the bottom, you can see here that you just got, in this example, we've got over 132 different ideas. What you want to be looking at in through here is when you're looking at these columns is obviously Google gives you the average monthly searches, but then what you can also see is you can also see what's been happening over the previous months. Now, I do need to stress that this is what's been happening in the past, not in the future. So it's giving you data based off what's been happening over the previous 12 months. And then you can also see, the 3-month change, year-on-year change. Now, when it comes to competition, Google gives 3 levels: low, medium, and high. Now, as a very, very general rule, the lower the competition, the lower the bid, and the lower the CPC bid. So that's the amount that you'll have to pay per click. And when you're looking at the top of the page versus the top of the page high range, is we're talking here, low range is positions 2, 3, and 4. Top of the page is the position number 1. So what you can do through here is that you try to want to be looking at now what I really look at with our keyword research, remembering the way that we're looking at structuring our Google Ads search campaigns is we're looking at selecting 2 or 3 broad match keywords that have multiple words in them, ideally more than 3. Remembering, as we said, that now Google targets the meaning of the keyword phrase, not just the keywords that you're mentioning in your keyword target. So more words helps to give Google greater context of what you're actually wanting to search and what you're actually wanting to target. Now, because we're going to be having a couple of broad match keywords, I'm not too worried about the average monthly searches because we know the way that Google works is it'll go beyond these selections. So I'm looking for 2 types of keywords. One, I'm looking for 2 or 3, which are going to be my exact match keywords. And then if there's any other keywords which I know are just highly, highly relevant, I may also select them as an exact match keyword. Before we get to that, what I do want to show you is over here, you can also refine your keywords. So let's just say that for this one, if you don't know Bali, our villas are in Seminyak, but Google is also saying, look, do you want to target Canggu and Kuta? I'm going to exclude them. And the reason for that is because I just know that they're not relevant. If you know Bali, like those locations on a Google map, which is what Google's picking up, they're not far away, but they're very, very different locations with very, very different markets. And then what you can also do, you can also look to remove your brand or other brands. And then also as well, depending on what your initial keywords are that you are adding in there, you'll have all different options to be able to refine your keywords. If you add these in or exclude them, you can see that Google is changing the amount of keywords that are available. So what you want to do through here is I firstly start with the keywords that I added. Now the ones that we've got in through here, as a reminder too, for things like 1 bedroom and 1 bedroom, whether it's spelt out or it's the number, Google is going to see them as the same. So you don't need to include both of those, but there's no harm in including both of those. And then we also go down and have a look at, are there any other keywords which are relevant for looking at targeting? Once you go through and make all of your selections, as I said, you can select more, but that's the process you go through. I'm just looking at the data, looking if there are ones which have a higher competition. I do go through and have a look at the top of page and lower page bid to see whether it's worthwhile. For that one, because it doesn't have a super high volume, I'm happy, and those CPC ranges are within my budget. If they were outside of my budget, I would remove them. And that's where you do have to make some initial decisions, which is going to be best for your business or your client's business. So once you've gone through and selected all of your keywords, what you want to do is you want to add keywords to create your plan. You can see here now we've got the notification that these keywords were added to our plan. You then want to go up into, you can go up into either your forecast or your saved keywords. And then what you want to do from here is you want to go through and download them either into a CSV or a Google Sheet. Now I have done this through a Google Sheet. So if I go through and open up this Google Sheet, you can see that's what we start with. We start with just a list of all of the data and the estimated clicks, estimated impressions. And what I do is I go through and make the sheet look like this. Now, the way that I've done that is that I'll go through and add in some new columns. So a campaign and an ad group. So I'll get rid of the columns that I don't need. And then what I do from there is basically I add in my campaign, my ad group, and my keyword. Then I've got all the average monthly searches, competition, all of that information in through there. And then what I spend some time doing is I just break these out into different keyword themes. Remembering what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to have one keyword theme. So we've only got one keyword theme per ad group. So you can see through here, I've got my 1-bedroom villa campaign, my 2-bedroom villa campaign, and then just a general campaign. And I've got some different ad groups based around those different campaigns. And from that, we've now completed our keyword research. I do keep it in this sheet as well, because sometimes if you're not doing this for your business, but you're doing it for a client, you may need to get some approval. So I've always found that this is a really nice, tidy sheet that you can forward off to your clients so they can see a bit of an idea of what keywords you're going to be targeting, what the searches are, and what the competition areas and what the CPC bids are. And that's how you complete keyword research in Google Ads.